probably do it like this so you'd hear me.
But they always introduce me as the founder, and I think that's a disservice. I really consider myself a co-founder now with Jeff, our board president. His strategic vision, his dedication has really moved us to a new level. And Dawn Steffen, who's our program coordinator, which is really short for Dawn Do Everything. So we can't do it without either all the board members and volunteers that we have. So anyway, I'm going to keep this brief, which for me usually is less than a half an hour, so I'll really try and keep it brief. But how many of you have come to events like this before? You know, not here, University Club, throughout. I mean, just about everybody's been to these kind of events for nonprofits, for your school, for something you're involved in, right? And we always have kind of a formula we do. And there's really three things to this formula. The first thing we do is we always state the problem. And it's true, but it's always kind of shocking. Do you know that 2 out of 5 kids in Milwaukee live in poverty? And everybody goes, you know, we get the attention with that. It's true. Do you know that 53% of African American males in Milwaukee are unemployed? Do you know that 27% of families do not make enough to make subsistence living? Now, how many people are shocked by that? Wouldn't you like somebody to kind of stand up and go, really? Why didn't the Journal Sentinel say anything? I mean, how many people really think the biggest problem at State Fair this year in the newspaper was stale cream puffs? I don't think anybody here is going to go, really? There was more happening there. We have to state the problem. But like Jeff said, I think all of us know it's a problem. You're here today because you know there's a problem. So then what is the second thing that happens at these? We state our solution. So you saw the video, and I'm going to tell you this. We offer quality programming. We really do. You know why I know that? Because we used to offer lousy programming when I started it. So I know the difference now between lousy programming and quality programming because I did lousy programming. And I kept making mistakes. So then I said, well, I don't know how to do this. So I looked at the schools that were doing it right, and I looked at the nonprofits that were doing it right, and I said, we need to do what they do. We need to do exactly what they do. So each time we changed, we learned from our errors, we changed. So I'm going to tell you, we offer quality programming. Now go to an event where somebody doesn't say that. You know, we offer lousy programming. No, we offer quality programming. But that is a fact, simply because I've been doing this for 11 and a half years. I'm going to tell you something else, though, you probably don't normally hear at one of these events. You saw our video. You got an overview of what we do. You've seen some of our partners, Henry Tyson, Dr. Howard Fuller. I've been doing this 11 and a half years. I guarantee you it's quality programming. And I don't know if that's all this was, to be honest with you, I don't know if I would support it. I don't know if I'd volunteer. I don't even know if I would donate. And that's the honest truth. And I'll tell you why. Because it's not enough. It's not enough. What we do alone is not enough to overcome so many things that are happening in our society. So, you all go home, we don't need you. No, I'm totally kidding. You're not going to do that, right? We didn't obviously bring you here to tell you we can't get it done. So I'm going to add the other piece that I think, well, let's try and see how I can do it. Okay.
You want that?
No, can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Okay, you probably need it for somebody else, but not for me. I've been teaching martial arts a long time. I can project. You know what? Why? I think we're worthy of your support. Because we get it. We get that we have to consolidate. We have to work together, and we have to do more. Now, there's 2 ways to consolidate. You can build a big bureaucracy. It has its economies of scale. It has its advantages. It has its disadvantages. You don't get the personal touch. People go through a system, right? But it's better. It's getting to more people. There's another way to consolidate, too. Consolidation through collaboration. That's what makes Unity in Motion different. If you could put up my slide. This is my wife, and she's, you know,
my electronic technical person, so we might be here for a minute. Yeah, my mother's staying the night, so I'm on the couch anyway, like it's going to really matter what I'm saying. We almost had it.
There we go.
Okay, now I'm going to ask for your help on this. This is the third year we've done this at the University Club. The first year I had eight slides. And they said, Al, no way, that's way too much, you're too detailed, you're boring people to tears. So last year I went to 4 slides. And what's the first comment I got? Al, you're boring everybody to tears, you are not a PowerPoint person, you can't do that. So today I have 1 slide. 1 slide, and I'm going to use to explain. Now, let's do the math. We're an education organization. 8, 4, 1. If I blow this, I'm down to 0. I don't ever get to do this again. So you got to help me and pay attention. Because this is like trying to kick the winning field goal in the Super Bowl. I'm either the hero or I'm out. I'm never coming back. So I'm going to try and make this as concise as possible. I think all of us know, in anybody's life, in a youth's life, there's 3 areas that we have to get to, that have to be working for that person to have the best chance to succeed. The home life, what goes on at their school, and then choice time. That kind of covers everything, right? If one of those areas is struggling, you got a problem. If 2 of those areas are struggling, you have a crisis. If 3 of those areas are struggling, the judge in the corrections facility is going to take over those 3 areas. So we believe we have to get to all 3 areas. Now we're just one smaller nonprofit. How are we going to do that? What we've done effectively through our leadership is build Unity in Motion around this model. We form a long-term relationship. We start with youth, 3rd grade, 4th grade, and we have programming all the way through college. We believe you build a relationship, you build quality programming around that relationship. So many places build programming and try to bring in relationships. We build a relationship, put the quality programming all the way through. Might be martial arts, could be a lot of things. Mentoring, tutoring, you went through the whole thing in that video. I won't go through it. So, the advantage of us keeping that long-term relationship is we learn in that family who the driver is. Every family has somebody that's taking care of that youth. Traditionally, it's the mother and father. Sometimes it's not. Sometimes it's the mother. Sometimes it's the father. Sometimes it's a grandparent. Sometimes it's an aunt. Sometimes it's a teacher or an administrator they live with, because their situation at home doesn't dictate or allow them to do that. Somebody is doing that. And we need to partner with them. They're the driver. They're the ones who love. They're the ones who motivate. And we need to work with that family. The second thing is the schools. I don't care how well we do. If they're in a lousy school, it's going to fail. So we partner with some of the best schools out there. Right now we have kids in 27 different schools, but we really try to concentrate on getting kids either in good schools or getting them to good schools. You saw Henry Tyson from St. Marcus Lutheran, Howard Fuller from CEO Leadership Academy. We're starting with Hope Prima. I know 2 of their representatives are here tonight. Scott Campbell from Nova, young dynamic leader. Well, actually not young compared to me, not young dynamic. He and his school, we partner with that. Tonight you're going to hear from Cole Knipple. Abby Ramirez is here. They're the co-founders of Schools That Can Milwaukee. If these kids are not in good schools, that's really like a crisis. Not even just a problem right now, it's starting to be a crisis. So we have to build relationships, foster relationships with those schools. The last thing is choice time. Our core programming does go to choice time. We have all sorts of different programming that works on choice time. But we still can't get to every hour of every day of choice time. So we work with college preparation programs, Admission Possible. We have John Bly from Greendale High School, starting with youth already in 8th grade with WIS careers and working on everything they need to do to get ready for college, the planning, the preparation, right down to the nuts and bolts and follow-up. And his superintendent, Bill Hughes, is here, who has the foresight to have John come in and do that. That's an amazing partnership, but one of many we have formed. We have to get to that whole thing, or we are not going to succeed. Okay, I just took the first 2. Number 1, the problem. Number 2, our part of the solution. Number 3, you usually leave here and somebody tells an inspiring story. One year I was teaching karate, and a 12-year-old had a gun, and I found out the drug dealers made him run it, and I talked about that story. I talked about a kid we gave a treat to, wanted to trade it for a can of corn. You know, those are true stories, but that's not really what it's like. See, when you get to know the kids, it's just the same as my son, as my neighbor. My neighbor's here today. He has a son, one of my son's age. It's like my relatives. It's like the kids in my school. They want to do the same thing anybody else does. They look to their home for guidance. They look to their school for instruction. And they look to make good choices on their free time. So you know what's inspiring? It's not those one-time hit stories where we're talking about this thing that gets our attention and please give us money when you leave. What's inspiring is the three people you're about to hear from are examples of every day doing it, what's right, doing what's right in their home situation, doing what's right in the school they are placed in or live by or go to, making good choices with their free time. That's inspiring, but it's done day after day, week after week, month after month, year after year. Doesn't make headlines. It's not going to outdo the state fair. No chance. But listen to their stories tonight, because that's what it's really about. The first one you're going to hear from is Javaris Bradford. He's been with us a couple years. Amazing story. And the second one is Jay Ron Dwight. He's been with us about 5 years. Made black level. They have to advance. They have to grades. Everything is involved in that. Very inspiring. And the last one you're going to hear from is Kwame Knox and his educational navigator, Jim Neubauer. Kwame's been in the program 11 years and is well positioned for, he's going to be going to college next year, and we know pretty much where and how. Listen to their stories, because they're the real thing behind Unity in Motion. So with that, I'd like to introduce Javaris Bradford.